Don't scroll, something is shifting around you, and you've felt it. And if this message showed up on your screen today, it's because you're right in the middle of it. Chosen one, have you noticed how certain things in your life suddenly feel out of place, or how old situations that once felt comfortable now feel too small for who you're becoming? That isn't random. That's a sign that God is quietly moving the pieces of your life into a new arrangement. Right now, you're standing in a moment where nothing looks the same, yet everything feels strangely purposeful. Doors you counted on may have closed. People you trusted may have stepped back. Your plans may not be unfolding the way you expected. But even in that confusion, something inside you knows something big is coming. This video will show you how God is positioning you for a divine turnaround, even when the path feels unclear. Stay with me, because what you're sensing in your spirit is not fear, not anxiety, it's alignment. And once you understand what God is setting up around you, you'll realize you're closer to your breakthrough than you think. When God is preparing you for a major turnaround, one of the first signs you'll notice is that certain parts of your life begin to fall away. This can look like friendships fading, habits losing their appeal, or opportunities that once excited you suddenly feeling wrong. It might feel confusing at first, but this is actually a sign of alignment, not loss. God removes things that no longer match the direction He's taking you. Think of it like cleaning out a closet. You can't put new things in until the old and unnecessary items are cleared out. In the same way, God clears space in your life so better, healthier, and more purposeful things can enter. Sometimes this shift happens quietly. Maybe you stop feeling comfortable around certain people or start sensing that a specific environment is draining you. Other times, the change is sudden, such as a job ending or a relationship taking an unexpected turn. Instead of seeing these moments as setbacks, try viewing them as signs that God is moving you toward places where you can grow. This removal is not rejection, it's redirection. God is making sure that nothing around you holds you back from the next chapter He's preparing. One of the hardest things to understand during a divine turnaround is why certain doors remain firmly shut, even when you tried your best. But when God closes a door, it isn't to punish you, it's to protect you from something that would have slowed you down, drained your spirit, or taken you in the wrong direction. Many times, we push for things because they look good or feel familiar, not realizing that behind the surface is something that could harm our peace or delay our destiny. God sees what you cannot. He knows which opportunities would lead you off your path, which connections would distract you, and which environments would limit your growth. So when something doesn't work out, even after you gave it your all, it's a sign that God stepped in for your good. Think back to moments when you desperately wanted something that didn't happen, only to later realize it wouldn't have been right for you. That clarity usually comes after the disappointment fades. Closed doors often save you from emotional pain, wasted time, and unnecessary battles. So instead of asking, "Why didn't this work?" try asking, "What is God protecting me from?" This shift in mindset brings peace and helps you recognize His guidance even in the no's. When you're a chosen one, delays are rarely random. They show up at the exact moment when you feel ready to move, but God knows something important still needs to fall into place. A delay isn't a denial, it's a strategic pause that protects your timing, your energy, and your purpose. Sometimes you feel prepared for the next step, but the environment around you isn't ready yet. Maybe the right person hasn't entered your life. Maybe the opportunity you're meant to receive needs more time to develop. Or maybe you need a little more clarity, healing, or strength to carry what's coming. God uses delays to make sure that when your moment arrives, nothing and no one can block it. Think of it like a traffic signal. The red light isn't there to stop you forever. It's there to prevent an accident and make sure the road ahead is safe. In the same way, God slows things down so your path becomes smoother, not harder. Delays also sharpen your discernment. They teach you patience, they reveal who's truly supportive, and they strengthen your spirit so that when the door finally opens, you walk through it with confidence, not fear. When something is taking longer than expected, don't assume you're being overlooked. You're being positioned. God is arranging the timing so the blessing arrives exactly when it will have the greatest impact on your life. When God is getting ready to lift you into a new season, you may notice that your circle becomes smaller and your environment quieter. This isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. God often separates his chosen ones from noise, distractions, and unnecessary influences so they can hear him more clearly. During this phase, you might feel like people are distancing themselves, conversations aren't flowing like before, or the connections you relied on are no longer available. It can feel lonely, but this solitude has a purpose. God uses these quiet seasons to strengthen your inner world, sharpen your focus, and help you grow without outside interruptions. Think of how seeds grow. They aren't planted in the spotlight, they grow underground in the dark, where no one can see the process. Isolation works the same way. Your growth is happening in private, so your elevation can happen in public. God is building your resilience, your wisdom, and your character behind the scenes. This season also reveals who truly belongs in your next chapter. Not everyone is meant to witness your transformation. Isolation filters out distractions and keeps you aligned with what God is preparing for you. So if you're in a quiet chapter right now, don't fear it. You're not being forgotten, you're being refined for something greater. When God is positioning you for a divine turnaround, some people naturally drift out of your life. It may feel unexpected or even painful, especially if you shared history or comfort with them, but this shift has purpose. God removes the connections that would limit your growth so he can bring in the people who truly match your calling. As you evolve, your energy changes, your values shift, your priorities rise, and not everyone can grow with you. Some relationships aren't wrong, they're simply no longer aligned with the direction God is taking you. When conversations start feeling forced, when interactions drain your peace, or when the bond doesn't feel the same, that's often God signaling that it's time to release what no longer fits your future. This change can be emotional, but it's also freeing. Once old connections loosen, room opens for new people, people who support your purpose, challenge you in healthy ways, and push you closer to the path God has prepared. These are your destiny connections, and they appear when the space is ready. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means God is upgrading your environment. Trust that anyone who leaves your life during this season is part of the rearrangement needed for your next chapter. When God is preparing you for a divine turnaround, challenges become training grounds, not punishments. You may face situations that stretch your patience, test your emotions, or push you out of your comfort zone, but each challenge carries a purpose. God uses these moments to build qualities inside you that you will need for the blessings ahead. Think about times when you were forced to stand up for yourself, make a difficult decision, or walk away from what wasn't serving you. In the moment, it may have felt heavy, but afterward, you were stronger, wiser, and more aware of your worth. That growth wasn't accidental, God was shaping you. Challenges reveal your resilience. They show you what you're capable of, even when you didn't believe it. They also teach you how to handle pressure so that when God elevates you, you don't collapse under the weight of new responsibilities. Sometimes God allows discomfort because staying where you were would keep you small. A closed door or a difficult season can push you toward a place you would have never gone willingly, but needed to reach. Every challenge you've survived has prepared you for the blessing that's coming. You're stronger now because God made sure you would be ready for what's next. When God begins shifting your life, one of the first things you may feel is confusion, not the kind that comes from fear, but the kind that makes you pause and say, something is changing, but I can't put my finger on it. This confusion isn't a sign that you're lost. It's evidence that God is rearranging things internally before he rearranges them externally. During this phase, your old ways of thinking don't feel as comfortable, your past desires don't motivate you the same way, and your spirit becomes more alert. You may find yourself questioning things you used to accept without hesitation. That's because God is clearing outdated beliefs, removing emotional clutter, and adjusting your perspective to match where he's taking you next. Think of it like walking into a room while someone is reorganizing it. At first, everything looks scattered, and you can't tell what goes where, but once the process is complete, the room makes more sense than before. Your life works the same way. God sometimes allows things to feel unclear while He's positioning you for clarity later. So if you're experiencing uncertainty or in a conflict, don't be discouraged. This is a powerful indicator that God is shifting your spirit into alignment with your next season. The confusion won't last, but the transformation it leads to will. When God is preparing you for a turnaround, life can change faster than you expect. Plans you thought were stable may suddenly fall apart, while new paths appear out of nowhere. These unexpected shifts aren't chaos, they're signals that God's timing is activating in your life. You may notice that things you relied on are no longer secure, or situations you planned for suddenly take a different direction. This can feel unsettling at first, but it's a sign that the season you've been waiting for is beginning. God often disrupts your routine right before He positions you where you're meant to be. Sometimes these shifts show up as surprising opportunities, unexpected conversations, or sudden clarity about what you need to change. Other times, they come as endings, quick, undeniable, and necessary. Either way, these moments are God's way of adjusting your path so you arrive at the right place at the right time. Think of it as God stepping into the driver's seat. You may not understand every turn He takes, but each shift is moving you closer to a breakthrough you wouldn't have reached on your own. So when life suddenly changes direction, don't panic. Pay attention. Sudden movement is often the clearest sign that God's timing is now at work in your life. Right before a major shift happens in your life, God often starts uncovering things you didn't see before. This can include people's true intentions, the real purpose behind certain situations, or even patterns within yourself that need to change. These revelations aren't meant to hurt you, they're meant to prepare you. Sometimes God shows you the truth about someone you trusted so you don't carry them into the next season where they could block your progress. Other times, He highlights behaviors or mindsets that might hold you back if they're not addressed. This type of clarity can feel uncomfortable, but it's an act of protection. You cannot step into a higher level while still tied to what would weaken you there. These moments of revelation often come quietly. You might notice subtle shifts in how someone talks to you, or you feel a spiritual nudge to step back from certain situations. You may start seeing patterns you previously ignored. When truth rises to the surface, it's God clearing the fog so your choices become wiser and your steps become more intentional. Before a breakthrough, God cleans the foundation. He removes confusion, exposes what's unhealthy, and strengthens your discernment so that when your blessing arrives, you're surrounded by honesty, clarity, and stability. When God is shifting your life into a new direction, your inner sensitivity increases in ways you can't always explain. You start noticing things you used to overlook, small changes in people's behavior, the energy of certain places, and even your own emotional reactions. This isn't overthinking, it's spiritual awareness rising. During repositioning, your spirit becomes more alert because God is guiding you through subtle signals. You might feel uneasy around someone who once felt familiar, or you may sense that something isn't right even before you have proof. You may also experience stronger intuition, quick insights, or a sudden clarity about what aligns with you and what doesn't. These moments are God sharpening your discernment so you can make better decisions. This sensitivity is also a sign that your old environment no longer matches where you're headed. What once felt normal now feels heavy or draining. You may find yourself craving peace more than noise, truth more than comfort, and growth more than familiarity. That shift in your spirit is God preparing you for higher ground. Instead of questioning this new sensitivity, learn to trust it. It's one of the clearest indicators that you're being guided, protected, and positioned for a meaningful transformation. One of the most surprising parts of a divine turnaround is how quickly things can shift after a long period of waiting. You may go through months or even years where nothing seems to move forward, and then suddenly doors open all at once. This isn't luck, it's God releasing what He had been preparing behind the scenes. During seasons of silence, it can feel like nothing is happening. But in reality, God is aligning people, timing, and circumstances so that when opportunities appear, they show up at the exact moment you're ready to step into them. That's why breakthroughs often feel sudden. God's work becomes visible only when everything is perfectly aligned. These opportunities can come in many forms: a conversation that changes everything, a new door that wasn't available before, or a chance that seems to appear out of thin air. You might receive unexpected support, a surprising offer, or clarity that leads you straight to a long-awaited goal. When blessings come quickly, it's because the preparation phase has ended. God is showing you that the waiting wasn't wasted, it was necessary. Every delay, every lesson, every quiet moment contributed to this opening. So when things start shifting fast, don't hesitate, move with confidence. It's a sign that your season has finally arrived. As God prepares you for a divine turnaround, He often reveals the parts of yourself that can't go with you into the next season. This may show up as old habits that suddenly feel uncomfortable, patterns you're no longer willing to ignore, or emotional reactions that push you to reflect instead of repeat. God isn't trying to shame you, He's helping you grow. Sometimes this exposure happens through everyday situations. You might notice you're becoming less tolerant of behaviors that drain your peace, or you start seeing how certain choices keep leading you back to the same struggles. These realizations aren't accidental. They are gentle reminders from God that it's time to rise above what once held you down. This process can feel challenging because it forces you to confront your own growth areas, but it's also empowering. Each moment of awareness gives you the chance to choose better, think differently, and act with more wisdom than before. God reveals these things not to discourage you, but to strengthen your character for what's coming. Outgrowing isn't just about leaving things behind, it's about stepping into a wiser, healthier version of yourself. And the more you recognize what no longer fits your spirit, the easier it becomes to walk confidently into the season God is preparing for you. When God is positioning you for a divine turnaround, you may start sensing a gentle but persistent pull towards something new. It can show up as a desire to change your surroundings, shift your routine, or pursue a path you never considered before. This inner pull isn't random, it's God guiding your spirit before He guides your steps. Sometimes this feeling starts as simple restlessness. The environment you used to enjoy no longer feels fulfilling. Conversations that once kept you comfortable now feel limiting. You may even find yourself imagining a different lifestyle, career move, city, or way of living, even if you can't explain why. That pull is a sign that the season you're in is wrapping up. This doesn't mean you must instantly uproot your life. Often, God begins with small nudges, a thought that keeps returning, a feeling that you're outgrowing your current space, or a spark of curiosity about something bigger. These are spiritual signals that your next chapter requires a different environment, one that supports your growth, not restricts it. As you pay attention to this pull, clarity slowly forms. You start seeing opportunities that match your spirit. You feel more energized by new possibilities, and eventually, the direction God wants you to take becomes undeniable. This pull is your confirmation. You're being guided toward a place where your purpose can finally expand. When God is preparing you for a divine turnaround, one of the clearest signs is a feeling of restlessness inside you. It's that sense that you don't fully fit where you are anymore, even if nothing on the outside has changed yet. This restlessness can show up as discomfort, boredom, frustration, or a quiet knowing that something bigger is calling you. This feeling isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that you're outgrowing your current level. God often stirs this inner discomfort so you don't become too settled in a place that can no longer hold your purpose. When your spirit is meant to expand, staying the same becomes uncomfortable. You might notice that routines you once enjoyed now feel draining. Goals that used to motivate you no longer feel meaningful. Even familiar people or spaces might feel unfamiliar, like you've shifted, but they haven't. This is a natural part of spiritual growth. You're being nudged toward the next version of yourself. Internal restlessness is also God's way of preparing your heart for change before the change arrives. It helps you release old expectations, reevaluate your priorities, and prepare mentally for new direction. Instead of fighting this feeling, pay attention to it. Restlessness is not the end of something, it's the beginning of who you're becoming. It's God's gentle push toward a chapter that aligns more deeply with your spirit, your purpose, and your future. During a divine turnaround, God often reveals your next steps gradually rather than all at once. You might not receive a full picture of your future, but you start noticing small hints, ideas, or nudges that give you just enough clarity to move forward. This is how God guides, through pieces that come together over time. Maybe you wake up with a sudden idea that feels meaningful. Maybe a conversation sparks a new direction, or perhaps you keep thinking about a goal you've been avoiding. These small flashes of clarity aren't random thoughts, they're spiritual breadcrumbs pointing you toward your purpose. Sometimes you'll only understand one step at a time, and while that may feel slow, it's intentional. If God showed you the entire plan at once, it might overwhelm you or cause you to rush ahead before you're ready. By revealing things in stages, He ensures you grow into the version of yourself who can carry the full vision. These small pieces of clarity help you stay focused without feeling pressured. They build your confidence gradually and teach you to trust God more deeply. Over time, each piece connects with the next, and what once felt confusing starts to make perfect sense. So don't underestimate the small insights you're receiving. They're the beginning of something much bigger unfolding in your life. When God is positioning you for a divine turnaround, blessings begin to appear in ways you didn't plan or predict. These moments often feel surprisingly timed, small wins, sudden support, or opportunities that show up without any effort from your side. These aren't coincidences. They are confirmations that you're aligned with the direction God is leading you. Sometimes these blessings look simple. Someone offers help right when you need it. A closed door is replaced by a better one, or a situation you worried about suddenly resolves itself. Other times, the blessing is emotional. You feel peace where you used to feel anxiety, clarity where there was confusion, or strength in areas where you felt weak. These shifts are God's way of showing you that you're moving in the right direction. Unexpected blessings also highlight the difference between what you tried to force and what God freely gives. What comes from God often flows effortlessly. You don't have to beg for validation or chase opportunities that aren't meant for you. Instead, things begin to fall into place in ways you couldn't plan, proving that divine alignment is at work. When blessings show up without warning, take them as a reminder. God is not only guiding you, He is supporting you. These moments are signs that your steps are being ordered, your path is being cleared, and your breakthrough is closer than you realize. As God positions you for a divine turnaround, you'll notice a gentle pull away from habits, routines, and behaviors that no longer support your growth. Things you once did without thinking may start to feel heavy, unproductive, or spiritually draining. This shift isn't random. It's God redirecting your steps so you can rise into a stronger version of yourself. You might feel less interested in old patterns that used to distract you. Certain conversations may no longer feel meaningful, and some routines might feel out of place for who you are becoming. Even habits that once brought comfort may not satisfy you anymore. This is a sign that your spirit is maturing and God is preparing you for something greater. The change doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing silence over chaos, peace over drama, or growth over comfort. Other times, the shift feels deeper. You begin wanting healthier boundaries, more discipline, and more clarity around your priorities. These desires are spiritual nudges pushing you away from behaviors that kept you stuck. God doesn't force you to change. He inspires change within you. As your habits evolve, so does your identity. And this inner transformation makes room for new blessings, new opportunities, and a new chapter that reflects who you're truly meant to be. As God prepares you for a divine turnaround, you'll notice something powerful. Peace starts getting you more than pressure. Even when everything around you feels uncertain, there's a calm inside you that doesn't match the situation. This inner peace isn't something you create on your own. It's God's confirmation that you're aligned with His plan. Peace becomes a compass. When something is right for you, you feel settled. Your mind quiets down, your spirit relaxes, and you sense a quiet yes inside you. Even if the path feels unfamiliar, You know deep down that you're safe. This is God reassuring you that you're exactly where you need to be. On the other hand, when something is not meant for you, you'll feel it immediately. Your spirit might feel heavy, uneasy, or conflicted, even if everything looks good on the surface. That discomfort is God protecting you from stepping into the wrong direction. This kind of peace doesn't depend on perfect circumstances. It comes from alignment. It shows up at strange times, during tough decisions, transitions, or moments when you're unsure. But whenever that deep calm rises within you, it's a sign that God is nearby, guiding you step by step. Peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of God confirming your path. Use it as your signal. You'll never be led wrong by the peace He places in your heart. When God finishes arranging everything around you, your mindset, your habits, your environment, your connections, the shift you've been waiting for often happens suddenly. It may feel like nothing was moving for a long time, and then in a short moment, everything falls into place. This rapid change is a sign that God's preparation phase is complete. Breakthroughs rarely show signs before they arrive. They show up after long periods of silence, pressure, or transformation. Right when you think you're the farthest from change, God steps in and moves things at a speed you couldn't create on your own. Doors that were stuck open effortlessly. Delays dissolve. People show up with the help you prayed for. Solutions appear in situations you thought had no answer. This fast turnaround isn't random. It's the result of everything God was building within you. The strength you gained, the clarity you developed, the habits you outgrew, and the discernment you sharpened prepared you to handle the blessing without losing yourself. When God moves, He doesn't do it halfway. He accelerates what's meant for you so no one can interfere and nothing can stop it. What once felt impossible becomes reachable. What once felt far suddenly feels close. Your life can change in a moment, and when God decides the time is right, it will. The turnaround comes quickly because you are finally aligned, ready, and positioned for the blessing meant for you. Chosen one, if you've been feeling the shifts, the changes, the strange pull in your spirit, now you understand why. God isn't leaving you behind. He's positioning you, guiding you, and preparing you for a divine turnaround that will make everything you've endured finally make sense. Every closed door, every delay, every moment of isolation was shaping you into the version of yourself that can step boldly into what's coming next. Here on Wisdom Crest, I want you to remember this. Nothing in your life is random. You are being aligned, lifted, and strengthened in ways you may not see yet, but you will soon. Trust the process, trust the timing, and trust the growth happening inside you. Before you go, I want you to speak this affirmation out loud and comment it below so it becomes real in your spirit. I am aligned with God's plan, and my divine turnaround is already happening. Type it in the comments so you seal it with faith. And if this message spoke to your heart, let me know your thoughts. I would love to read them. Your next chapter is unfolding beautifully. Stay ready, you're closer than you think.